it is a lovely warm autumn day today, and it is our new look of Trendz Travel, which you should have gotten used to by now. Right now we take you to the Kruger National Park, where I had an awesome time. Stay tuned for that. This is real Africa, where nearly 2 million hectares of unrivaled diversity of life forms fuse with historical and archaeological sites. The world-renowned Kruger National Park offers a wildlife experience that ranks with the best in Africa. And this is where we have decided to explore glamping. Glamping is where stunning nature meets modern luxury. It's a way to experience the untamed and completely unique parts of the world without having to sacrifice creature comforts. The way we travel has changed. We no longer want a generic one-size-fits-all vacation. We want to explore on our terms and immerse ourselves in local culture. And we no longer just want to simply witness nature, we want to live in it. A fusion of glamour and camping, glamping is a way to authentically experience the most awe-inspiring locales around the world. It's much more than just a nice tent. The glamping movement is growing, and it's showing no signs of slowing down. Across the globe, you'll find incredible destinations, each offering their own unique advantages. You can wake up in a yurt on a mountaintop, reside in the forest canopy in a treehouse, take in the panoramic views in an eco-lodge, and that's just to name a few. With a collection of tents, villas, cabins, lodges, teepees, and tree houses, this will encourage you to travel outside of the norm. With a map in hand, we start the 7-hour journey to our own unique glamping experience. It's a scenic route with lots of hills and valleys and magnificent views. It's not long till we are met with our first toll gate. The drive is nice, and we see houses dotted like little villages that give color to the landscape. The road bends and curves as it goes, with the most lush greenery to feast your eyes on. The mountainous region cradling the road as we drive. On a long, windy road like this, seeing trucks is the norm. Then there's more trees and more curves. Finally, after the first 5-hour leg, we make it to Orpen Gate. From Orpen Gate, it's another 2 hours before we are able to unpack and unwind. But it's in the Kruger, and we can enjoy a mini safari as we drive along. The inside route has many surprises waiting for us. On the dusty dirt roads, there is only one way to drive, and that is slow. This gives us a chance to encounter some spectacular wildlife. It's impala first, lots and lots of impala. Known as the McDonald's of the wild, because there are so many, and because the black stripes on their buttocks resemble the famous golden arches. Kudu are also found in abundance. The Kruger is also known for its abundant bird life, and we encounter the Kori bustard, which is the largest flying bird native to Africa. It really just was our day, because from then on, we saw the blue wildebeest, more kudu and impala. Our drive was peppered with sightings, from giraffes crossing the road to elephants sashaying to the other side, and even a group of baboons blocking the road. There were warthogs, zebras, and wait for it, even lions lazing in the sun. We were off to a great start. Hungry and tired, we arrived just in time for a light lunch, complete with a beautiful dessert. We are then taken to our rooms. Our accommodations are reminiscent of an out-of-Africa experience. This tented camp is one that will remain etched in memory. Built entirely of canvas set amidst age-old jackalberry and sausage trees with high wooden platforms linking 6 elevated tents, guests are treated to stunning views of the Nwatitonso River, offering the opportunity to enjoy spectacular wildlife and birdlife sightings. Traditional fittings and features such as steamer trunks and vintage labels revealing exciting journeys and sepia-stained photographs enhance the tradition and style of this turn-of-the-century luxury safari tent. Modern comforts such as electricity, air conditioning and an outdoor shower are the only clues that we live in a different time. This is definitely glamour camping. Encounters here with the Kruger bush is truly up close and personal because of this one daring feature. The camp is not enclosed. This means that any wildlife can meander within view right from your balcony. From your own private deck, you can enjoy the sights and sounds of the bush. After freshening up and relaxing a bit, it was time for high tea, which is like normal tea, only enhanced by the panoramic bush and river views that begin at the edge of the deck. Hi Ben, so can you tell us where we are today?
You are at Hamilton's tented camp inside the Kruger National Park. That's where you are right now.
Okay, so what makes this tented camp so special?
Well, there's quite a lot that I can explain on that one, but we are unique. As you can see, our setup, it's more colonial, and we have to try to be different to the other lodges. What will be the reason for us if we have to do the same thing as the other lodges does? So this is the unique camp you'll ever find in the Kruger National Park.
Okay, so can you tell me a bit of the history on the Kruger National on the Hamilton's camp? What do you know?
Well, when you look around, you can see the setup. It's more colonial. That is what we're trying to bring here. That is the feel we want our guests to have, you know. When you can look at our furniture, we have the old kists. Those are original kists. And anywhere else in South Africa, more especially the game lodges, you'll find that they've got the modernized furniture. Some of them, they still try to keep the old ones, the old-fashioned one, but they cannot beat what we have at Hamilton's.
So my understanding, this is unfenced.
That's correct. We're in a real jungle and it's unfenced.
So, I mean, what stops the lions from eating me while I sleep?
Well, when you look on the architectural part of it, our walkways have been elevated to create that security. You may walk from here to your room without fear, because as you walk around, you can see that you are above everything, and that creates, it makes your mind think that I'm safe. But we make sure that at night, our guests, they don't just walk by themselves. We have a porter that is allocated to walk each and every of our guests during meal times, and after safari when they come back, he will walk them to their rooms.
Okay, so you spoke about safari earlier. So what is the difference between the morning safari and the afternoon safari?
Wow. When we talk of nocturnal animal and diurnal animal, the diurnal animals are active in the early hours of the day, and the nocturnal animals are active by night. So the nocturnal animals are those big lions, the hyenas, the leopards, because they hunt at night. So they use the cover of the darkness to catch their meal. So this is what makes the difference. And the morning safaris, it is the beginning of the day. You're going out, looking forward to see the birds, you know, in the early morning hours. A lot of guinea fowls, I mean, out there in the mornings. That is the beginning of the day compared to the evening safari.
Then it's time to depart for the sunset safari. We start our drive by finding an open clearing in which to sit and just watch the sunset. Out here in the wild, it just seems more beautiful with the sounds of nature and the cold air setting the ambience. Out in the distance, we can see a wildebeest who is marking his territory, subtly letting us know that he sees us. It's a long, quiet drive without much to see until we encounter our first sighting, a lone hyena. Crossing the dry riverbed to get in closer to the action, he casually turns around and disappears into the brush. With nothing but time on our hands, we venture further into the dark night. Sightings are few and far between, but we do get a little green surprise.
Very cool.
After driving for quite a distance with no sightings, we decide that it's time to call it a night and head back to camp. It's just then that we encounter a very rare sighting.
You don't want to walk alongside me?
One of
A
the
leopard.
guys said he saw this, but then it shot off into the riverbed down there.
We follow him as far as we can, then as he retires into the night, so we retire to our luxury accommodation. Hey Trenders, like I've been telling you for the past few weeks, we are more interactive, so do catch us on Twitter on Trendz on SABC using the hashtag Trendz Travel. Right now though, it's a little break.
Well, today we discuss the general practitioner or GP.
So the quality of the doctors coming through our medical schools is excellent.
Your GP is your family doctor. Your GP is your first point of care.
Who determines how much a consultation fee should be?
We set up networks of general practitioners, and one of the conditions of the network was to agree to charge a certain fee.
Specialists are specialists. We can't take away their role. We can't take away what they do for each patient in their disease entity.
Our specialist colleagues as well don't appreciate patients coming straight off the street, as it were, to see them. They're highly trained.
For health tips that will help you to adopt healthy living, catch Health Talk every Saturday from 9 to 10.
Yes.
Sports Live every Saturday and Sunday at 7:30 p.m.
Welcome back, trendy travelers. And if you're anything like me, well, then you're not really much of a wine drinker, but I'm going to take you through an education in wine, so do stay tuned. G'day Trenders. Now Cape Town is wine country, so we couldn't come down here to the Togosan Hotels without visiting the Stella Bar and Cafe, where we'll be speaking to Giorgio more about all the wines that are paired with all their meals. Okay Giorgio, now I'm not a wine person, I know very little about wine, so let's first start with what do we have here?
Okay, so we're standing in the cellar where all the auction wines that we have are kept, obviously under ideal conditions. Today, this morning, we're trying out one of the Cape Wine Makers Guild auction wines from an estate that probably needs no introduction at all. It's from Kanonko. And it's a 4-year-old Paul Sour. Really, really special. It's elegant, it's got attitude, it's got finesse, it's got class, hence why it's in the cellar. So once we talk about the wine, we'll talk through it. I'll tell you what you should smell, what you shouldn't be smelling. You'll tell me what you might be smelling. And we taste it, and then it's yes or no. I mean, at the end of the day, it's fermented grape juice, isn't it? Yeah. So people tend to make wine a little bit too complicated. Yeah. And at the end of the day, it's really not complicated at all.
Okay, now two things you said. You firstly said ideal conditions. What are ideal conditions?
Okay, is it warm or cool in here?
It's cool.
So ideally you want between 16 and 18 degrees when you're storing. And I think what's more important than that temperature is the consistency. So ideally you'd want it the same temperature in the day and night. You don't want extreme temperatures. You don't want direct sunlight. As you can see, the lighting that we do have here is very dim, and it stays like this. So direct sunlight you don't want, hence why so many bottles are really dark. You don't want direct sunlight. You don't want vibrations. You want the wine to lay still constantly. And you can see that all our wines are on their side. Reasoning for that is that the cork stays wet, and when the cork is wet it swells, and when it swells it seals the neck of the bottle, preventing wine from escaping from the bottle, and more importantly preventing oxygen getting into the bottle. which turns your wine to oxidation. You got to prepare your palate when you taste wine. Remember, your first sip is not going to give you a true reflection of the wine. Maybe you've had a cigarette, maybe you've brushed your teeth, maybe you've had a coffee, whatever the case is. So what you're doing with your first sip, you're almost telling your palate, listen, I'm going to send something in your direction. This is more or less what it's going to taste like. Get ready for it, because the second time around, I want you to tell me what you're made of.
Okay.
That's what you're doing. Take a good mouthful, allow it to cover your whole surface area of your tongue. 2 seconds, 3 seconds on your palate, swallow, ignore. Give it a couple of seconds, and then you take the second sip, and then we'll judge the wine accordingly.
Okay.
Shall we?
Shall we?
Cheers. Okay, just give it some time. Ignore it. It might come across a little acidic. It might come across quite tannic, so your tongue dries up quite a bit. Maybe a little incomplete. It's purely your palate doesn't know what's happened now. All right, so now we're going to take a second sip, and you'll find that on the second sip it's going to come across a lot more elegant, a lot more round. Yeah, and it's going to tell you more about the wine than what it did initially on the first sip. Okay. Let's go on the second sip. See, automatically, it's almost like, but I could get used to this.
Yes.
It's a big wine. We're drinking it on its own. Take this wine and you serve it with a lovely oxtail or a nice roast or a pepper steak. Automatically, the wine becomes even softer. So this is not a type of wine that you're going to sit next to a pool and sip on a glass. No, this is definitely a food wine. And it's 4 years old, and this wine's only going to get better with age. So you're picking up that your tongue dries up like you lick a postage stamp.
Yeah.
That's generally tannin, and tannin is a natural preservative. So the more drier your tongue becomes, the more the wine will benefit by aging. So you'll be rewarded with patience. So within the next 4 or 5 years, that tannin would have almost faded away, and then the fruit characteristics come through. And let's be honest, what do you want to taste when you taste wine? Fruit.
Yeah.
So this is a wine that, although it's drinking well, it'll be better. It will become much, much better. Probably a total aging potential anything between 15 and 18 years under the right conditions.
Well, I must be honest, I was quite worried about tasting, because I've heard like this bad stories about red wine, and you shouldn't try it. Or
first time around.
Yes, but I was pleasantly surprised by it.
Sure it is. The thing is, a lot of people get introduced to the wrong wine, and nobody talks them through it. So if you had just bought this off the shelf and you were inviting a friend over, you might have had a different opinion of the wine than what we're having today. So I think it's very important, especially when you're going over from white to red or sweet to dry. It's important that the transition takes place gradually, and it's been thought about. It sounds, you know what, you don't want to go from a semi-sweet rosé that you enjoy drinking to a full-blooded Cabernet Sauvignon that's spent 24 months in oak. You're going to get the wrong impression. You're going to say, well, you know what, red wine's not for me.
Yes.
Where if you are gradually brought into a nice, elegant, soft wine, you say, but you go, and then you graduate from there. Exactly what it is. Exactly what it is.
Because my first experience with the red wine, I had a sip of it and I thought, wow, cough syrup, never again.
Point precisely.
Absolutely nothing.
One can really get used to this, can't you? Absolutely.
In fact, I'm going to have another.
Thank goodness, so you should. And you'll find that as you go on, it becomes more and more palatable. So your first glass is good.
Yes.
Your second glass is better. And your third glass is the best by far.
Can you imagine?
So, yeah.
I like the feel that I have on the sides of my mouth.
It's a sassy, sexy feel, isn't it? It's not that aggressive in your face type feel. And then, that lends itself towards the quality of the wine and the producer, of course.
And see, now I feel like I'm a wine person, all sophisticated.
Well, let's say you're not where you want to be, but you're also not where you used to be.
Exactly.
So that's a step in the right direction.
Great, thank you so much.
It's my greatest pleasure. Thank you for your time.
The last wine bottles from the personal collection of the God of Burgundies, Henry Jayer, will be auctioned off by Bagheera Wines in June in Geneva and are estimated to fetch between 7.16 million and 13.13 million US dollars.
So we have from his first vintage, 1978, in magnums, until the last vintage he made in 2001. So this lot is quite unique and is going for sale starting price at 280,000.
A total of 855 bottles and 209 magnums from Stella in his vineyard of Vosny-Romani in the eastern French region of Burgundy will be up for grabs.
Is now called God of Burgundy, not because it's rare and a tiny domain with producing really tiny quantity of bottles, just because he was able to do, of course, exceptional wines on exceptional vintage like 78, 85, 1990s. But he was also famous to do some really exceptional wines also on a difficult vintage.
Jair retired from winemaking in 2001 and died in 2006 after 62 years of tending to his grapes and crafting some of the most coveted wines in the world from just a few acres.
He was probably the first one to use sorting tables, for example. He wanted to have perfect grapes, because without perfect grapes you can't make a perfect wine, if we can call it perfect. But so that was in a way his touch to make nature in a bottle and to let the grapes make the perfect wines.
Jai did not come from a family of winemakers, though the wine he produced from 8 different Pinot Noir parcels showed his skill and passion. He left behind a legacy that mentored a whole generation of vintners.
J'ai dû changer aussi la photo de mon passeport.
He started to be really famous in the States, and a funny story is that clients of him from the States were coming to France and going to restaurants, even 3-star Michelin restaurants, and they were asking for Henri Jaillet wines, and they didn't have any Henri Jaillet wines, so the people in France started to be really more and more interested in his wines, saying, you know, why everyone asking for this small vigneron in Burgundy.
The highlight of the collection to be auctioned off on June 17 is Cro Parantu. There are 2 magnums from 1978, the vintage Jair considered his finest. A magnum and 18 bottles of 1985, 2 magnums and 24 bottles of 1989, 6 magnums and 60 bottles of 1999, and a vertical 15 magnums from 1978 to 2001.
So who knew there was more to wine than just drinking it? Well, right now, Trenders, do not forget you can catch us on Twitter on Trends on SABC using the hashtag Trendz Travel.
Shervin Bryceby's SABC News, New York.
Paul Barber, SABC News, London.
Tebu Mokobo, SABC Ufa Kozamono, Russia.
Neha Punia, SABC News, Saharanpur in Uttar Pradesh in India.
Other than that, I've enjoyed every single moment of it.
Ngatani, SABC News, Soweto, Johannesburg.
Okay, Trendz, so last week was absolute royal wedding fever. But did you know we have a royal wedding of our own coming up, which was negotiated up in Uganda? Take a look.
In what was a private function, Andile Ramaphosa was welcomed into his new family. His bride-to-be, Bridget, is a niece to Uganda's former Prime Minister and presidential candidate. The 37-year-old hails from Kigezi region in western Uganda. Andile is from the Venda tribe in the northernmost part of South Africa. For both tribes, cultural aspects of marriage are important. The traditional brew offered was a welcome gesture, much to the delight of Andile's entourage. Uganda's Prime Minister Ruhakana Rugunda, a close friend to the bride's family, chaired the ceremony, telling much about how important the ceremony was to both countries. And after close to 15 minutes of discussion, both families agreed to the lobola.
In the interest of moving forward and building on the good steps that have already been made, the family accepts your request.
Culturally, the groom-to-be was not allowed in the sitting and would later appear along with his mother, Hope Ramaphosa. The groom-to-be more than ecstatic at the end of it all. Andile and Bridget have been together for almost 10 years now. They have a 2-month-old baby. Andile has now been accepted as a son in the family, but as tradition dictates, there is one more function, the Okuhinjira, his official introduction as a husband-to-be, and that will be proceeded with a wedding later this year. Leon Sanyanga, SABC News, Kampala, Uganda.
In an exclusive Botswana safari camp, where Prince Harry took his now-wife Meghan Markle on a romantic getaway last year, guests awakened to the sound of doves cooing in the trees and hippos splashing in the serene waters of the Okavango Delta. The couple went to Botswana soon after they began dating in July 2016, a trip Harry described in a media interview last year as a crucial chance to get to know each other. At Mapula Lodge, an isolated $800 a night retreat that translates as Mother of Rain, Harry and Meghan slept in a traditional thatched cabin with an outdoor shower, their carved wooden bed looking out over the pristine lagoon.
They all come to Botswana because it's still a nice destination to go to where you're not bothered about paparazzi and such because you're far away from anything and everything.
The couple enjoyed a sunset cruise along the creeks that wind through vast grasslands, stopping to try their hand at fishing. Harry caught a sharp-toothed catfish as he and Meghan shared a joke, one onlooker said.
The people from Botswana are not like, I want to have an autograph or a picture or whatsoever. People can come here and have their complete rest and peacefulness that they deserve during their busy lives as well, and to unwind as they should do during their holidays.
On an early morning game drive, the couple scoured the horizon for wild animals that are the primary draw for wealthy clients visiting the Okavango, one of the largest inland deltas in the world. In the most romantic offering at the camp, Harry and Meghan were driven out at twilight to a deserted area of the bush at the foot of the ancient baobab tree, where they were served a 3-course meal beside a glowing fire. Botswana is popular with the rich and famous because of the privacy and isolation its top-end lodges offer.
Will move between camps.
Cool. And what do we do? It's an extremely romantic destination. It is, as I said, it's low density tourism, so you're not surrounded by hundreds of people. You can get away on your own. The sunsets are extremely beautiful and romantic. Almost every night we have a spectacular sunset.
Other recent visitors include former US Presidents George W. Bush, Saudi princes, Hollywood stars, and millionaire footballers.
Halal-friendly holidays are booming in Turkey, attracting Muslims who feel less comfortable at home and offering relief to a hotel trade that saw demand slump amid bomb attacks and political instability.
This hotel used to attract mainly Russian and German tourists who drank alcohol by the pool alongside bikini-clad women. But about 3 years ago, the owner decided the place was getting too rowdy and he wanted to attract a different type of visitor and built this giant wall down the middle of his pool.
Turkey's alcohol-free resorts are on the rise, with separate pools, beaches and spas for conservative men and women. Cameras certainly not allowed in the women-only pools, but they can feel free to wear what they want. Everything from mosques to modest clothing on offer for the guests. While visits to Turkey fell to a decade low in 2016, Ufuk from halalbooking.com says this industry grew.
We have seen that halal-conscious travelers are actually more resilient. So they are not so easily scaremongered by headlines.
Down on a family-friendly beach, we meet German tourist Yuvas. He says he's starting to feel the rise of far-right and anti-refugee sentiment back home, adding his wife has been harassed on the street for wearing a headscarf.
Because my wife wears a burqa-covered bikini. For the people here, it's completely normal. In Germany, it wouldn't be that way. When we want to go swimming and she's wearing it, we are really stared at by a lot of people, which of course is disturbing, because everyone looks at you as if you don't belong.
Tourists are returning to Turkey. The government expects 40 million by the end of this year. But with around 60 resorts now serving halal-conscious travellers, return visitors may find it's not the Turkey they remember.
Well, as you saw there, Trendz, the African continent had a huge role to play in the prince and princess falling in love. Do remember that you can catch us on Twitter on Trendz on SABC using the hashtag Trendz Travel.
Let's cross over live to Griselda Lewis, who is standing by at the arbitration hearings.
But I didn't think about it at the time that people could be dying.
Let's update your sports news.
Get all the dominating stories locally and globally on Newsroom every Monday to Friday from 9 a.m.
Well, we've almost come to the end of our show, guys, but don't despair. We do have a little more for you. Right now, we take you to Senegal, where you can check out their art.
Gorée Island off the coast of Senegal was host to some of the work showing at the Dakar Biennale of African Contemporary Art, an event that celebrates the continent's best contemporary artists. Installations, photographs, graffiti art from Cameroon, Senegal and Ivory Coast dotted the street and the houses of Gorée, a former slave trading center, which is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. This year's Biennale featured over 75 artists from 33 countries from around the world. Many of this year's displays used recycled materials, which have become hallmarks of the continent's modern art scene. A sculpture by Senegalese artist Soli Cissé of a cotton field was particularly poignant, displayed on an island that was once a transit point for human beings before they were shipped across the Atlantic. Cissé is known for combining figurative and abstract forms of art.
Après, c'est sûr que là, ils ont une plateforme qui est quand même exceptionnelle. Il y avait clairement les curateurs des musées du monde entier, beaucoup d'Américains, beaucoup d'institutions internationales. Donc je pense que ça, c'est sûr que ça va porter des fruits derrière. Et oui, je veux dire, l'élan aussi de Simon Djamy sur la Biennale, c'est quelque chose qui se valorise dans le temps, ça fait aucun doute.
The Biennale, which is also known as Dakar, is an initiative of the Senegalese government. It was launched in 1990 and has become an important event on the Africa's art calendar, bringing together thousands of artists and art lovers from around the world to promote cultural diversity and give upcoming artists a wider audience. As part of that effort, organizers put together My Super Kilometer, an open-air gallery in a market area of the capital Dakar, which they describe as marrying art to the rhythm of the city. For a few weeks, shoppers who wouldn't normally go to the galleries or international exhibitions interact with artworks that include metal sculptures, giant photographs, paintings, and installations.
On regarde là l'exemple de cette expo, les champs de coton qui sont associés quand même. On ne peut pas dissocier les champs de coton de l'esclavage. Vous voyez déjà, donc ça semble simple aujourd'hui, posé ici, mais il fallait y penser. Dans cet espace, poser des trucs de coton, en champs de coton.
Swedish artist Josephine Axelsen decided to use the market as her own studio and finished her work in the middle of the market day. She said she was pleased by the response and the social aspect it offered. Owing to poor support, facilities and a tiny domestic market, many of Africa's most talented artists predictably end up in Europe or the United States. Those staying at home are often under-resourced.
daanaka xaw ma ko woon maa ngi koy door a gis waaw photo nag moom def naa photo bon ma ne comme li ma fi ñëw fii nii saa bëriwul noonu par marché laay ñëw xëy rek gis ko ma ne xaaral ma def tuuti photo balaa ba ñibbi am li ma ciy tuuti en même temps loolu la.
Now I've been working here for a couple of days, and at the beginning people were just passing through looking at me. Now people stop and we're talking, and it's kids, it's men and it's women, and we talk about other things than only my art. I think it's a very, very good situation.
The Biennale organizers believe that this year will mark the beginning of a new era for African artists, thanks to a new exhibition center in Dakar and the opening of the new gallery in Donahi Foundation based in Abidjan.
History marks that horses were first ridden before they were driven. And when people started driving them, the carriers came in different sizes, types, and designs. Egypt is one of the African countries fond of horse riding and driving for pleasure, business, and sports. This has seen some horse-drawn craftsmen remain loyal to this activity. Ali Gaber is one of them. He owns a workshop for making the horse-drawn carriages.
This job has art and has beautiful things. This is why I'm holding on to it.
Located in the offshores of ancient Alexandria, Ali's workshop prides itself in the building of the carts for prominent people in the country, like the late King Farouk, the 10th ruler of Egypt from the Muhammad Ali dynasty. The workshop is working on reviving the business of manufacturing horse-drawn carts, a rare craft that is currently serving for the taste of the nostalgic customers and tourist attractions.
When people see carts like this, they are left in awe and would give praise to the handyman. People would love to see how these are made.
Ali and other workers start off by sawing and measuring the wood to a specific design. A metal is used inside the wood for a frame. Coils, nails and stairs are then fitted. The carriage requires paying keen attention to meticulous details while manufacturing, especially when it comes to the sturdy wooden wheels, copper coils, quality leather seats and metal handles.
The most important thing is quality in everything. The wood, the metal and the coils have to be firm. There should be natural leather and good paint. A cart takes a long time to manufacture. Various hands are working with me. I am not alone.
Horses have been considered a close companion to humans throughout the centuries. Every 1st March, the world marks International Horse Protection to show concern to horses without homes, companionship, or love. From crisscrossing towns as a means of transport, horses have also become a key part of some popular sports and events like weddings.
I wish I could find more carts in the streets. It's a nice thing. Tourists could use the cart. People would be happy riding this.
Instead of building carriages for royalties, Ali now provides carriages for hotels and touristic attractions.
Any other job has many people doing it. Our job is unique. Not a lot of people work in it.
It is in this simple workshop where Ali believes that the dying art of horse-drawn carriage manufacturing could be revived, and with time, he might maintain the steadfast friendship of these shy and gentle animals to their equestrian fans.
Coming up next, guys, is your weekly dose of what's happening in and around Joburg.
The 2nd of June sees the Green Garden Cafe and the Purple Tulip Nursery hosting Taste Latino Food and Craft Markets in a lovely country-style setting in the north of Johannesburg. Join them as they celebrate Latino culture here in Joburg. There will be artisan crafters with handmade wares. You can taste some of the most traditional dishes from Latin America in a 100% child-friendly environment. There's also free salsa dance classes and, of course, Latin music. On the same day, the township of Alex will be hosting the Make Africa Great, a platform of inspiration and greatness. Prepare for a fun-filled 2-day festival aimed at creating opportunities for Black entrepreneurs, artists, and most importantly, the youth. The event features live music, stalls, comedy, and DJs. If you're feeling a little more adventurous, then the Champagne Breakfast in the Sky is for you. A hosted table suspended at a height of up to 60 meters by crane and executed by a team of professionals. Breakfast is served mid-air hovering over Johannesburg. Still on the 2nd of June, why not spend nightfall painting, having a wine tasting and chocolate pairing with the Winter is Coming theme. This evening event is for all levels of artists looking for a fun night out, meeting like-minded people in a creative and friendly environment. The weekend of the 8th to the 10th of June is going to be epic. Joburg's Ticket Pro Dome is set to feature this year's hottest event, the Fire and Feast Meat Festival. This year's festival hosts a lineup of culturally diverse chefs, each chosen for their talent and expertise in taste and technique. This quintessentially proudly South African weekend-long love affair of meat, fire, braais and music promises to be the event of the year for all discerning diners, foodies, braai masters, butchers and industry experts. On the 9th of June, why not join SAB for a delectable 5-course meal paired with SAB branded beer. A trade brewer guides guests through the pairing, explaining how the mouthfeel, flavor and aroma of each beer enhances the flavors and textures of the food. All of this simply means that you have Father's Day in the bag. If you have anything you'd like to share with us and the Trendz Travel world, let us know at Trendz on SABC.
Well, that's all we have for you in this week's edition of Trendz Travel. I do hope that you enjoyed it. And do remember you can catch us on Twitter on Trendz on SABC using the hashtag Trendz Travel. I was your host, Eloise Scoble, and look forward to seeing you again next week. Same time, same place.
As democracy matures, we get into discussing very, very sensitive issues.
I think that there's a lot of people that are applauding it. I'm sure it's going to be appealed.
It is the beginning of a long journey of South Africa fighting racism.
That sticky label of being a white party, so to speak, doesn't seem to want to go away.
So the competition actually helps, and it brings out winning in total.
Stay tuned to Media Monitor every Sunday from 9 a.m.
The Fifo Dome incorporates the towns of Parys and Vredefort on the side of the Free State. It straddles the Northwest and Free State provinces, but 70% of it is in the Northwest. It is believed a huge meteorite hit the Earth in the region of 2023 million years ago. It resulted in what is now the Fifo Dome. Tourist guide Christo Meyer says there are different theories of what really happened here many years ago. One university believes it was a meteorite impact, while another says it was a volcanic reaction. None of the universities, however, could back up their theories with sufficient evidence.
Today, it is accepted that it is a meteorite impact structure, and it is the largest and the